Jane?
Well, hello there, St. Augustine Camera Club. Thank you for asking us to judge a photo contest. Okay, so we're in the color division, and we both have picked this as first. We both agree the focus brings you right to that center, and the subjects, the background is done very well, not too light, not too dark, nice and blurred, so everything goes to that. And even though I'm not a big subject in the center person, but the way that the subjects are looking out in the opposite direction, I think is very good. Excellent.
I like that you can actually see the catch lights in the eyes of the birds. I like the watercolor paper. I like the tornness of the paper itself. I like the dimension that it gives, kind of helps it stand out. And I agree with what Nancy's saying. I like the way the birds, typically being in the center is not my favorite thing, but in this particular photograph, then yes, I would say that having them look on opposite ways kind of adds another dimension, and I would, give 2 thumbs up.
Definitely for the catch light.
Yeah.
I'm pretty adamant about catch light in subjects' eyes. Big deal. And that's lovely.
Yeah.
And for honorable mention, we have picked this one. We like the idea that the flowers are lovely highlighted. You look at the flowers, you don't look at the background first. The background is nicely darkened enough to highlight the flowers. Everything is in line, and nice composition.
Yep. I like the green and the pink, the complementary, the way they, back and forth, the yin and the yang there. I like, as Nancy was saying, I like, this is out of focus here, your attention is here, so you know exactly what you're looking at. And also like the darkness around the vignette, so that again your attention goes to the flowers right here. It makes them stand out. So, well done.
And if you want to add to that, we came within, this is a little learning moment or teaching moment maybe. We came within a little bit of putting this as honorable mention. But the only thing that caught our eye is that the horizon or the bank, as one can say, a little bit tilty. That's one thing to pay attention to, and it's so easily corrected in Photoshop or whichever program you use. Don't have to be Photoshop, but usually all the programs have some kind of straightener. But otherwise, it's very nice.
Yeah.
Nice presentation and composition.
Yeah. I like the colors. I think the printing of this is done very well. I like the foreground here, that you've got a little bit of greenery here. It kind of ties it up here. And beautiful sky here. I like this nice reflection as well. Again, because the horizon is not level, that was kind of that took it down a notch. So, but still, great job. And, yay, okay?
Generally speaking, very nice images of such. What we did find, though, I think a lot has to do with paying attention to where you're exactly focusing and where you want the focus point, the eyes of the viewer to go. We found in certain circumstances, like for instance, this one, the main objective of viewing would be the face, the eye, as you say it, and it looks like the body is a bit sharper than the eye, and also the eye is a bit darker. So every camera usually has the focus points you can move around, so maybe you might have moved the focus point over to the head more, or possibly it was the aperture. I don't know. I'd have to see the settings to know. But that was kind of the thing with that. And we found that a few places that there was a lot of things nice about a picture, but the certain parts of the image that wasn't the head or face was sharper than the head and face. So maybe kind of as you're doing an image, pay attention to particularly where you want the focal point to be.
Matt. Good job, man. One of the things I noticed here is, so the catch light right here in the grasshopper's eye is not there. Just in Photoshop, if the photographer could just add a little catch light there, just to kind of, make it pop. I do like the image, but again, I think the sharpness, I agree with Nancy, isn't quite there on the head area, and that would be the main intention unless you're trying to sell the leg here. So, because this looks sharp in here, but not so much here. So, just for your information.
We kind of felt the same way with the flamingo.
Yeah.
That's actually very nice.
Yeah, beautiful.
Two things. The same thing we were discussing before in regards to some of this part looks sharper than up there.
Yeah.
And if you had caught, and I know, wildlife photography is one of those patience things. Sometimes they'll kind of open their eyes just for a minute to peek at you. It would have been nice to have the eye open than closed. But one of the main things is getting back to a lot of things are sharper than where the head is.
I concur. Yeah, totally. Well, very nice image, but like I said, I wanted that sharpness on it, just so it has that pop. So this right here, we've got a lot of light kind of coming in. In other words, my attention kind of goes to these lighter areas, and it's like I want to see this before I see this right here. This I'm thinking is the main focal point, but yet my eye, if we were to turn this upside down, I'm seeing this. I'm seeing these white areas as opposed to the center section right here. So maybe in Photoshop, the photographer may want to vignette these areas right here so the attention comes out here. Maybe even dodge this area or add a little bit of topaz or something to give this a little pop. Want to add anything?
No, that's about it. A lot of these things, I don't know. Everybody has their different programs. And some programs make it easier than other programs to do those things. But a lot of this is just very simple things. And everybody gets used to kind of critiquing their own, and which I try to do myself. And sometimes I'm more critical of my own work than anything. But yeah, so.
I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be looking at. Am I supposed to be looking at this gentleman or this over here? It's like, here's one photograph, here's another photograph. They just don't tie into me. Plus also something I don't care for is, so this hand right here to me is too bright. It competes with the face. It's also about the same size of the face, so therefore it competes with the face. So I'm not keen on this hand being here. If you want to keep the hand here, maybe tone it down so that again it doesn't compete with the face. This to me is just so bright that it's just maybe the wrong time of day or something. I just want to bring all this down, the tone down right here. Maybe bring him closer or something. That's just my thoughts on it.
This is very nice. Well, we both enjoy the composition. It's very pleasing to the eye. The colors are very, very pleasant. None is too strong or too... All about it is very nice, and we love the panorama composition.
Yeah, this one, Jim. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, when you walk in the room, it's like boom. It works. The orange and the blue. Go Gators. Okay, sorry. Anyway. Oh, come on now. Anyway, so yes, this works great. I love the painterly effect that she's added to this. That she's done this in Corel Painter. Looks to me possibly. But I do like it, and it has a great feel to it. I like the composition. Go ahead.
And the greens are not too green. I have a thing about that, so that's just my particular thing. The greens are just little muted from natural, which to me, it's part of the scenery, but it's not emphasized in the scenery. Okay. Yep. Very...
Looks like Maggie Taylor. Maggie Taylor image or an idea. Maggie Taylor used to be married to Jerry Yulesman at one time. So anyway, she taught at University of Florida. But to me, it looks like a Maggie Taylor feel. It's very creative, has a lot of going on, but has a lot of interest to it. a lot of depth, and so, 2 thumbs up, way to go. Really, really, really like this. This reminds me of a Gary Monroe or Eric Breitenbach or a Dan Baferi image. It tells a story. I give this 2 thumbs up. I think you're on track here. I love the fact that you cut off the laundry right here. I don't need to see this, but I love the Roxy right here. I love the attention to what's going on. I think your print quality is there. Man, it was just tough picking between these 2. But I love this right here, and I'm going to give you 2 thumbs up. And you just keep up doing what you're doing here because you're right on track, okay?
Okay. Everything about this is really pretty spot on. The whole idea of the blur, except for the subject, you were immediately taken to the subject. And then the rest, because of the blur and the toned down colors, it just kind of just works. Movement, defocusing, and the focus on the subject, it's wonderful.
Yep, I'm in agreement with you, Nancy. And I like that you got strong blacks, strong whites, and you got this middle gray, which really works. I like the way that it's been vignetted and the attention goes to your center of interest here. I like that it's got it looks like a little bit of a pan to it, but also the depth of field is very shallow, and my attention is not distracted by what's going on back here, and I see what's happening right here. This is a 2 thumbs up. Way to go. I like the tone of this. I like that brown feel. You've got some strong leading lines coming in, but I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be looking at. If we'd had a person here, maybe on a rail here, just something so I had some kind of some tension and something to put my interest in, as opposed to just looking down into the emptiness, so to speak. I like the print quality. I think they've done a good job here. I like the shadows down here, but again, I want to see something else there.
Go ahead.
So the print quality here is a concern to me. So here in the whites, there's no detail in the whites. This is blown out here. It's blown out here. If you're going to make your name, to me, I would make it larger as opposed to so small. I use a magnifying glass to see it. Not everybody concurs with the way I believe that. And typically, I would sign the matte as opposed to the photograph itself, unless you're just selling the photograph. But to me, I don't know where to look because I've got these bright areas right here, and bright areas, your eye tends to go to bright areas as opposed to the dark areas. So maybe toning this down, darkening this down right here, darkening this down so your attention comes in here. So you see this. Again, it's just really hot right here, really hot, it's really blown out. So for that, the thought's good, but the way it was carried out is not complete.
We both really like this one.
Yep, like the light.
But what it looks like, and we can only guess, of course, is it was enlarged too much for the file size.
Correct.
So it's just nothing is in focus. But we really like the perspective of it, the composition of it, and such. Possibly, there's a program called Gigabyte. If you really like this and like the size, that you can enlarge pictures, and it'll actually do an excellent job of enlarging it so it keeps its, but I don't know how small or such the original image was, or maybe only enlarge it to half its size. You'd have to look at that.
Yeah.
Whoever did this needs to take it out, and a lot of hairs underneath the glass.
Lots.
And that would be, and we noticed that, but we didn't exactly play that into the judgment because we know that's not really part of the image as such. But, and you might want to, with the healing brush, there's a little bit of hairs there, but the sharpness against the background is very nice.
Yeah. And I agree with that. I think that, it has an old school feel to it. I like that you've got this, these curves kind of going on right here, the angles of the shoes, that's fine. Again, here are the strings from the shoes. If you're really trying to sell the shoes, you want to take these strings out. There's also an area right here that I would take out. Looks like a dark area inside the shoe. I would go ahead and take that out. And of course, just be careful with the hairs that are in the, the image is
Well, it's behind the glass.
But it's
so
still
if you just
distracting.
take it, but it's, yes.
Yeah, and so for me, this is really a distraction right here. This really kind of brought it down. And, but I do like the feel for it. It has an old feel, old school feel, but yet a very nice lighting, so, still 2 thumbs up, but watch your framing and, so.
The novice, we picked this for first.
Yep.
This really had the best composition and point of view. The other thing about a picture is point of view. For wildlife, I like to be, unless you're going for a certain reflection, I like to be at the angle of the subject. And I know that sometimes means leaning or kneeling down on the ground, but you'll be surprised at how the perspective all works. And this, even though there's no wildlife in it, but it gives that you're right there, you're kind of in the scene. And the idea of the effect of the sun reflecting with the splashes is very nice.
Yeah, I agree. Also, to me, it looks like the horizon is level, is square. So, as opposed to some of the other images, which the horizon leans. And but as far as I can tell, it looks square. We got some reflection coming in from here, from the outside the window. It's not. I can't completely tell because I'm seeing my reflection, and I'm trying to. I like the glossiness of this, the metal, it gives it that pop, it gives it that richness. So 2 thumbs up there. And I also agree with the colors. I like the action of the water, gives it that motion, makes me want to be there.
Okay. And the second place we picked was this right here. We just liked the whole composition of it. The only thing I think we both agreed on, that possibly de-emphasize this area a little bit. The idea is your eye going out to the water. Your eye is following the dock. And possibly either in a cropping differently or making this less. People are going to find, especially with digital images, it tends to make the green sometimes look a bit fluorescent or too green. So possibly tone down the green and make it a little darker in there. But other than that, we really like the whole, where the eye follows and such.
That's leave mine, yeah. Agree.
Great, you agree. And third place, we did to this. It's kind of funny, I have to say, is I saw the frog right away and you didn't see the frog right away. But having said that, what he